7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. Our unique team helps small businesses grow by providing essential marketing expertise.
Hello and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. My name is W.Parmentier of W.Parmentier Photography.
I'm Justin Kerr of Justin Kerr Design.
And I'm Alicia Piazza with Custom Marketing Solutions.
And together we make up
the Marketing Essentials team.
Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. Today we're going to be talking about cause marketing. In this new era of social responsibility, what you don't do can cost you. Cause marketing is now the norm, and customers who visit your website and see your advertising want to know that you share their desire to make the world a better place by supporting an important cause. That's from Entrepreneur Magazine. Now, who's the audience for cause marketing? Well, among the audience are millennials, and they are the largest demographic coming up behind the baby boomers. And they've quickly become the most culturally influential and economically powerful segment of the population. According to the Huffington Post, 61% of millennials are worried about the state of the world and feel personally responsible to make a difference. Millennials care about authenticity, experiences over material wealth, and are looking for ways to join in with social change. So today on the podcast, we want to talk about cause marketing, but we want to do it in an authentic way. And we think the best way to do this is through story. So we've invited 3 small business owners to talk about the ways they are reaching beyond selling a product or a service and connecting with the community around them.
All right. I'm going to do a quick intro for each, and then they can share a little bit more about themselves. So a different style format today, really good stuff, and 3 unique stories. So first we have Adam Rizzo, who is owner of 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE out of Cranston, Rhode Island. And then we have Daniello of 4 Echoes, which is located in Seekonk, Massachusetts. And we have Steven Hipolito, who is owner of Silver City Limousine, based out of Taunton, Massachusetts. So I'm going to give you guys the floor, and we'll start with Adam to just give us your quick intro and share a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So again, it's Adam Rizzo with 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE. We provide 24/7 emergency response to your water, fire, and mold-related disasters. So it's been raining like crazy the last few weeks, a lot of flooded basements, things like that. People call us to come out and help them deal with their water intrusion issues so that it doesn't grow into mold. And then if it does, then we're there to help them on the backside to clean their house and properly decontaminate.
Hi, I'm Daniello of 4 Echoes Vintage Shop in Seekonk, Massachusetts. And 4 Echoes was created to be an income generator so that our church, Stone Coast Community Church, would have additional funds to make an impact in our community.
My name is Steven Hipolito. I'm the owner of Silver City Limousine. I opened up about 2 years ago. We provide airport transportation, corporate, night outs. We have sedans, SUVs, and limousine.
All right. Awesome. So, Justin, do you want to open up here and kind of lead the discussion? Because we have 3, like I said, very unique stories. Really, they're all awesome. So do you want to kind of intro in?
Absolutely. So we're going to start with Adam Rizzo with 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE. And Adam, I know we had a previous conversation, and you are just involved in all sorts of things. Primarily, through your company, you've done restoration and disaster relief down in southwestern Florida. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us just a little bit about your company's involvement with that and how that works.
So after a major storm that comes through, devastates an area, we see it on the news a lot. Insurance companies that we work with here in Rhode Island will ask us to go down to these devastated areas to work with their customers because we have a great relationship with them here and they need a trusted source down there. And what we're really trying to do is block out the people who prey on victims of natural disasters and try to take advantage of them. So we're down there to represent ourselves and the company, but also represent their insurance company and provide them with quality service and at the same service level that they expect here.
So tell me a little bit more about these predators that operate in these disaster areas. What do they do? How do they do it?
Well, a lot of times they'll go down, they'll ask for a deposit up front, make promises that they don't have any intention on delivering on, and really they're there to steal and take advantage of people that are in a bad situation.
And how do they? I mean, they look like legit businesses, I guess.
They can, yes, right. So they can, business card and a name on the truck, and that's really all it takes, unfortunately. But we're there. They get the customers get contacted by their insurance company that we're the ones that will be coming. Mm-hmm. So there's some validity there, so that they know, and then of course they can look us up, and we're a legitimate organization.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad you guys are down there as a legitimate business, and hopefully staving off some of these predators. And now when you go down, you guys are completely self-contained, right? You have to bring everything with you.
The first response, you have to be self-contained. You have to, we're there to help and not kind of take more resources away from people. So you need gasoline, you need water, you need shelter, you need food. So you kind of go down there bare bones a little bit. So the company provides fuel cells, the company provides shelter, the company provides some resources for us. And then once things come back online, power's restored, gasoline is coming back into the area, then, we need to re-up. And so we're there to, okay. we use the businesses around us, and we purchase from them too. So
terrific. Now, a little bit more close to home, I'd like to talk a little bit about something that you did recently through the Veterans Administration.
Yes, so I have a contact at the Veterans Administration in the town that I live in, and they reached out to me that they had a disabled vet who was in a really bad situation, and the state had come in and taken her children away from her because of the living conditions of her apartment. We went in and saw the state was well within their right to do this, and so we provided all the labor and material to completely declutter and clean her apartment. She was in a hoarding situation.
Okay, so that's from the PTSD? She developed the hoarding? Right.
So the diagnosis was that she had developed the hoarding from the
PTSD.
Yeah. Thanks, Justin.
No problem. I'm here for you.
Yeah. So we went in, decluttered the apartment, and then washed that apartment from ceiling to floor, shampooed the carpets, cleaned out the fridge, stove, everything. And then we've got a reinspection from the state while we were still there, and they deemed it safe for the kids to come back, and so the kids were allowed to come back. I think it was only 48 hours. Still a traumatic 2 days.
Sure.
But we were able to turn it around that fast. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So did they reach out to you, Adam, for that cause? How did you come across that situation?
So a friend and neighbor is also a vet and very involved in the Veterans Association, knows that this is within my wheelhouse of work that I do. They don't have, or they have limited resources, so they, asked, what I would be willing to do it for, and so we donated our time and efforts to the cause.
That's great. Now, just before we started recording this podcast, you said, hey, I just got a new opportunity to be involved in the community and do something very similar to what you just described. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So a good friend of mine reached out. They are opening an opioid addiction treatment center. It's a nonprofit, and the space that they have is a little dated and a little dingy. So she asked if we could help out to help make the space a little bit more comfortable for the patients. So we're donating all the carpet cleaning and all of the upholstery cleaning for the house. So every bit of that house will get cleaned down, and then we're going to go in and do all the couches and chairs and carpets and things like that, just to make it a little bit more welcoming.
Was it a clinic previously, or is this like a repurposed building?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I just got the phone call over the weekend, so I haven't even seen the space. I know approximate square footages and things like that, but it's a close friend and willing to help out, so it really didn't matter what it was.
Well, that's I appreciate you sharing those stories with us, and I think now we should bring our attention. Go ahead, Alicia.
I just want to say, one of the things we didn't say in the intro, and what I'm hoping that the listeners can gather from today, is that you see these larger companies out there that are cutting, millions of dollars for donations and funding things. And our point today is you can be a local business and you can give back. You can find ways outside the box, whether it's your time, whether it's starting with one person, you can make a difference. And I think overall that will make a difference for your business, because people like to do business with businesses that give back, that have a greater meaning, that make an impact. So I'm hoping today that the stories that we hear will give our listeners ideas and things that will help them understand how they can start giving back to the community. So,
Excellent point.
thanks.
No, that was excellent. So now we'll turn the floor over to Kara Daniello. And Kara, why don't you tell us a little bit about how Four Echoes came to be and your involvement, because we've talked before, and I think it's a fascinating story about how this all came together. So give us a little backstory.
Great, thanks. So as I said briefly in the intro, I represent Stone Coast Community Church in Warren, Rhode Island, and we were challenging ourselves with creative ways to generate additional income so that we could do more in our community. And so we initially started off with the idea of a more traditional church thrift store, if you will. Our original space fell through. We showed up to sign the lease and it fell through on that morning. So that was disappointing and surprising. And so our quest continued to find, a spot to do this. And so we approached a local business, Vinnie's Antiques Center in Seekonk, Massachusetts. It was a thriving antique center for 25 years, and walked in and asked if they were interested in selling the business, to which they said no. And so we set up a meeting with the owner and shared our vision a little, and 5 minutes later he said, "I'll sell it to you." And so it started from there. What was interesting is our original model of thrift store kind of got shifted pretty quickly. So we had no idea how a vendor group shop worked, but essentially what it is various vendors who sell used merchandise, antiques, vintage goods and such, rent space from the business. And so when we were asking questions about how it worked, they said these individuals rent this space. And so we looked down this row of showcases and went,
You started doing the math.
yeah, ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. Holy moly, our model just shifted. And so we were no longer just looking at being a thrift store that receives donations, but using a thriving business to be that income. And so our income now comes from the vendors who rent space from us and sales from our own donated items. And so we're able to use those proceeds to fund our community outreach programs.
Now, being a church, the traditional model church thrift store, it's all donation based, and then, you take the proceeds and you put it into a charitable fund or something
Sure.
like that. This is a little more complex than that. So how is this all working for Stone Coast Community Church?
Yeah, it is a fascinating process. We actually went through 3 accounting firms who were afraid to even touch it because it's fairly complicated, because the income, for example, from the rental, from the leases, is taxable. So that's unrelated business income. And so income coming in from our sales that's tax exempt. And so it's a fairly complicated equation, if you will. So we take really very intentional about how we're using our space, in what square footage we're taking up for rentals, what square footage for donations, because it all also feeds into our nonprofit status in the town. So it's a fairly complex model, but one we have not been able to find anywhere else. And I love that we've taken this thriving local business and have transformed it into a nonprofit that is really catching on in the community, because people who have been shopping there for the past 25 years are walking in and now feel a sense of cause behind what they're doing, even though each individual sale doesn't go into the profit. Obviously, the vendors make their own profits, but they're still part of our mission. So it's been an interesting sort of merge of 2 very fruitful business models.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, when we talked before, we talked a little bit about your why, why you were doing this. And you explained to me that your why for doing this expanded as you got involved in the vendor based model
Sure.
of business versus what you originally thought. So
Right.
maybe you could tell me a little bit about that.
Sure, yeah. We were very clear with why we existed and what we were trying to do. And so it was a pretty simple equation going into this was sell items and turn money over into our community, right? So that the good that we were doing was out in the community. And it didn't take us long before we recognized that our community is also the people who walk through the doors, both the customers and the vendors and businesses that we can partner with. And so we were kind of, I wouldn't say, I guess we were surprised by it. It sort of took us off guard a little. But the opportunities that we have of, folks walking through the doors hundreds of times a day to love on others and really be that good to others, not just the money that we're putting into our programs. And so we're building relationships with the vendors that are trusting us and partnering with us. We're building relationships with customers, and we're also bringing in other local businesses and organizations and partnering with them for this end. So, for example, we're working with local high schools to bring in students for community service. Most of our team is a volunteer work team, and so we have a small staff of 4 or 5 folks part-time that work for very little money. But our...
Same as we do. We work for very little money.
Yes. And so most of our team is a volunteer team. So we have about 300 to 400 hours of volunteerism every month just to make the store, happen the day to day, to process donations and to do projects in and outside the building to make all that happen. And that doesn't include any of the programming that we are involved in, outside of that. That's just for the shop.
Wow, that's like really far-reaching. So you started on, with one idea, and then it just kind of it evolved as you went. And I just want to say that anybody who's interested in learning more about these businesses and using these businesses or learning about them, we're going to post all the links and all the information so that you can definitely check them out online. And if you have some free time and you want to volunteer, then you can find Kara to
That's great.
do that. And then also, Kara, so what would you say if another organization wanted to do something like this? Is it something you would recommend, this new type of setup that you guys went for?
Absolutely. I think what limits us in what we do out in our communities or in our businesses is really a small vision, right? And so when we can start to think outside of the box and explore other avenues, then, your vision can really expand with that. And so we don't want to be, as a church, for example, you only get in so much income from tithing. And we have a very generous church and we do a lot, with that. But we didn't want to be limited by that. And so when you can start to really think outside the box and be creative with what that looks like, then your impact can be even greater.
That's terrific.
Yeah. Yeah, very unique. It's something that you don't hear a setup like that often. So, and I love Vinny's Antiques, so I will make sure to go back again.
Well,
now that
fantastic.
You guys are there. So,
We'd love to hear that.
yeah. All right, giving Steve from Silver City Limousine the floor now. So quick side note, Steve's video, he's going to share more about it, his story, but he's viral. Technically, I guess speaking, you're viral now, Steve.
I think so.
All right.
Do we need to explain what that is? Because it sounds like he needs medication.
Yeah. So he's viral in like the internet sense of the word, where Steve's going to share more about his story, and a video was done on social media about his story, and he's at 1.7 million views right now. Correct?
That is correct, yes.
Yes.
It may be higher today. I have not checked.
We'll check after this, but last time I saw. But go ahead,
I'm Steven. I'm with the Limousines, Silver City Limousine. And I was on Facebook one day, and I saw a parent in a closed Facebook group mention she was looking for transportation from her home in Bridgewater all the way to the Children's Hospital in Boston. And she was just asking about like train routes, bus routes. But I recognized the address from being a child and having to, have some appointments at the Children's Hospital. So I reached out to her. I offered her free transportation for her and her daughter to go to the Children's Hospital. And when I met them and I drove them in, you know, the little girl was in the back giggling all the way. You know, she kind of forgot where she was going for 1 hour, you know, and I dropped her off. And when she came back to the car, you could tell it was a sad situation. And the mother and I were just talking, and I decided to just continue this and do all our transportation for her. And since then, we're going on about 1.5 years now of driving her back and forth. She had a major surgery, and she's doing very good. She's actually painless now. She's walking, she's running around. She's got a lot of PT ahead of her, and she's really a strong girl. She's like a superhero.
I think that's a good intro to it. And so, Steve, her name is Mary Alice, correct? And she's
Yes.
9?
She's 9 now.
Okay. So when we were talking before the podcast, you told us a little bit about when you pull up into the driveway and she calls you, she has a special name for you, right?
Oh, she calls me her fairy godfather. Yeah.
With the limo.
Guardian angel.
Yeah.
Guardian angel.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And so she's been in stretch limousine. She's been in SUV. She's been always chauffeured to all of her doctor's appointments. She makes it a point to tell her doctors that she's riding in a limousine and she has a driver outside ready and waiting for her.
That's awesome.
She'll has her Starbucks sometimes, you know. She's pretty sassy. She's good. She's, you know, quick with the tongue.
We need to get her a personal assistant that she can go in with too.
I think she's gonna end up with one someday. I'm
We
sure,
need to get
you
her
know.
on this podcast.
Oh, she would.
Probably would be good.
She
Yeah.
had school today. I should have checked with her mother. She does let her skip school for this type of stuff. But the mother had taken to a closed Facebook group and mentioned a story just to tell the people in the community who did know about her daughter. And the news stations all picked up on this because ultimately they're in these little closed groups as well, monitoring the locals. And one day I had Ted Daniels calling me, and I'm like, yeah, right, this isn't you, you know? And I made him prove it. He proved it. And they did a little video with me with her, and they had put it on Fox 25. I mean, I've been on all the news. Today, we probably have like 1.7, 1.8 million followers on this one post.
Now, when you saw this mom post in the group and you reached out to her to give her that one ride, were you thinking this is going to do anything for my business? I'm doing this, why?
I just did it to be kind. I didn't go into it thinking I was going to go viral, to say. I never once thought about that. When I met the little girl, it reminded me of a situation that my mother went through when we were younger, driving me back and forth to the hospital. So it just felt good being able to help her. It didn't take much for me to help her. It was an easy way of me helping her, and it was a big burden to the mother of driving back and forth. I mean, their car is not the greatest. It's not something we would want to be driven back and forth to Boston in.
Wow.
And I believe when you started doing this, you were told that this was not a good business move because your business was new.
Oh, yes.
And
I'm told by other people that pretty much my mentors that I should back away from this, and this is just too big for my company to handle.
Yeah. What do they think now?
Definitely much different.
Yeah.
They're actually trying to help me as well. Like, hey, if you need a hand, we'll drive her in too. So they're trying to get their hands in on this. They thought it would just be too much. There have been times where I've pushed other jobs just to bring this little girl back and forth. I have never charged them anything. I've never received the gratuity. It's been offered, never taken up. This is just something that I plan to continue to do until we see it out, you know. I mean, it's just a ride to and from, you know, their home to the doctor's appointments, but it's a big burden off
Just
the
a ride.
parents.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, that would be a really good name for like a nonprofit, Just a Ride, where we could have donors fund people to give little girls and boys rides to them. That's amazing,
They
Steve.
do have stuff like that, but they're looking for people on a much larger scale.
Yeah. So, and then also, you were saying, so you helped Mary Alice, and her mom shared the video. It went viral. The news station started picking up. Now, Mary Alice actually got some extra attention. So not only, and I want to let you talk about that. So not only did she get this ride from you and help getting to the hospital and feeling like a princess in the limo and stuff, but people started to pay attention to her.
Oh, people are following her big time. Stonehill College signed her up. She's on a field hockey team. She can go swim in there. She has like a group of mentors. They just bring her around everywhere. The whole family they have taken in. So their youngest son is on the youngest son is on the autism spectrum as well. So it's not easy for this mother by any means, but she really makes the best of it, and you could tell. But these schools have stepped up. There's been country clubs who've offered their assistance. There are a lot of local places. We had a benefit probably about a month ago where we came up with about $3,000 worth of prizes to raffle off. A restaurant in Rehoboth opened their doors and said, feel free to use our space. That's M&D Kitchen in Rehoboth. A lot of people, I go out, people give me stuff. There's a woman in East Bridgewater who makes these kindness blankets. Lady Gaga's actually has one, so she really went international with this. And she reached out to me and gave me a bunch of blankets, and we've given them to Mary, and Mary's handed them out. It's really been a fun ride with this. My phones, company-wise.
That was a good pun, too. Bill will appreciate the
pun. Company-wise now, my phones haven't stopped. I got companies that I haven't heard of, but have heard of me, calling me from all over the United States to give me some work. I got people who faithfully use other car services who called me and said, I love the story. I'm going to use your service. And they have. I had people just mail me money for the little girl to continue to make sure she can drive, get her rides to and from.
Right. Yeah, I think it's what goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the podcast is that, authenticity. People want to be part of something. They want to feel like they're contributing to something bigger than themselves, and they want to be part of something where they feel like it can make a difference. They can change the world, and it's, one story at a time, one person at a time. Like you were talking about, Adam, just helping this woman out, this vet, who was suffering from PTSD, and it's like, hey, I can help this one person out. And then this opportunity that just came up with the opioid clinic, and sometimes it seems like you were saying, Steve, it seems like a small thing, but you impact so many lives as a result of doing just one thing.
That's so true.
So I think this, just underscores what we were talking about in regards to cause marketing, and you don't do it because you want the publicity.
That's
you
right.
do it because this is the right thing to do. And I want to make a difference in somebody else's life. But it does become part of your brand. It becomes part of how you operate, and it's how people come to know you. And like you were saying, Steve, people find out about this, and they just want to contribute. They just want to give in some way because they like knowing that they've made a difference.
I have people sharing my Facebook page all over the United States just hoping I get a job, it's because they're happy at what I did. It was real genuine. I did not go into it thinking I was going to get a ton of clientele. I didn't know that she was going to write in a closed Facebook group that the news media would pick up. Mm-hmm. In fact, when I realized when I was viral, probably half a dozen of my friends already knew about this. I was working. And so I came home to all of this, and, I was shocked when it was at like 50,000 people. To see that it's 1.7, 1.8 million.
I wanted to give you an opportunity to share a little bit about a story that you shared with me about Paul, one of the vendors at Four Echoes, and we were talking about sort of changing people's minds, one story at a time. So I'm just going to let you take it over from there.
Sure, it's actually a customer and has been shopping or had been shopping with the previous owners for many, many years. His wife is a dealer, and so they're in that world, if you will. And so he made it clear when he came in that he didn't like us and didn't like change, and that's okay. We still...
That's just being a New Englander.
Right. Yeah. We just loved on him anyway. And, he certainly met us with trepidation and just a curious sort of approach of who we are and what we're doing and what's the catch. And I think that's what he was waiting for. And so, he had a lot of questions about who we are and who our church is and what we're doing and why. And so it just has opened up a lot of great dialogue. And I think what he and many of our customers and vendors are recognizing is that there is no catch. We're here to just love on people, and we have a good cause behind us and good team of people to back it up. And so we've just been building a relationship with this gentleman and many others, and just helping them to see a bigger picture of how they can be part of something bigger, like you were saying. And what I love about what Steve is sharing is the opportunities that he is creating for other businesses to think outside that box, and the same with Adam. Just their motive is not to go viral or any, right. It's just simply to love on others. And that catches on. And so what I love about that is all of these other businesses are sort of it expands their vision and how they can be part of that. So it's neat to see that unfold in such a genuine way and such authenticity, that that love just prevails, and to watch it unfold is pretty cool.
I have a question, and we can just, go through each one of you and what you would say. And Kara already started to touch on this, but if there's other businesses out there that want to get involved, how can they find opportunities, or what's the best way to be true to your business and your mission? You want to start, Adam, and share kind of like how you found your opportunities and why you went forward? And
I would say if there's another business out there that wants to get involved like this, I think they just need to keep their eyes and ears open. Those opportunities are all around you all the time, and they present themselves in different ways. Sometimes it's somebody picking up the phone, or sometimes it's a Facebook page, or sometimes it's reinventing your idea, but it's always around you. And if you want to get involved, it's really easy. Just you got to pay attention.
I love it. What would you say, Steve? You saw this one mom, and you went for it.
Yeah, I did see this on a closed Facebook group. As far as other companies reaching out, I have a gentleman in town. He runs a mission outreach program, and I follow him day to day. I look to see what he needs. He might need mittens one day. He might need socks or something. And we'll get a bunch of us together, and we'll try and get these things. I mean, we're not doing anything like mind-blowing, but we're putting together some money, being able to give back. Most recently, we're doing some donations for Christmas trees for people who just can't afford a Christmas tree. There's a place in Taunton that allows them to take in donations so they can donate the tree themselves. So if there's a family who's less fortunate, they can just go there and collect the tree like you or I would, without anyone really knowing that they're taking on a donation.
Yeah, and just to sort of piggyback what Adam was saying, I think the opportunities are out there, right? Yes. And so businesses don't need to get super creative, but just really listening to the needs of their customers and of their community, because those opportunities will present themselves. And so whether or not we're willing to take that risk and step out is the question. I think there are also a lot of opportunities. So a lot of corporations actually help their employees by supporting and giving them paid time to do community service, or take the day off and go help a local business. And so I just had a conversation with the bank where we do our business banking, and she mentioned that as well, that they have community service time that they give their employees, and they ask them so they're going to be partnering with us and come on in and help processing donations and doing some painting around the place. And so it's really just about making those connections with other businesses and seizing the opportunities that are in front of us.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point about the corporations. I used to work for a company that did do that day off. I think it was up to 16 hours throughout the year, paid time off, not against your vacation time, to give back. And so that's something bigger companies can do as well, and I encourage that. And when I moved jobs and I was in the corporate world and the second place didn't offer that, I was disappointed. It's a morale builder for the company overall. So
I think there are also, there are a lot of individuals who are already doing these things out there, right? So there may be folks on your staff, for example, that are already doing great things in their community, and really tuning into that so that you can help partner with that and help to forward their cause and really just attach a cause to the businesses that are already existing.
I love that.
Well, I really appreciate all of you guys coming to sit with us today and talk about, how you've gotten involved beyond your business and your involvement in the community. These are some great stories here today. And like Alicia said, we're going to make sure that we put links in our show notes to each one of your businesses, and we can even do it to your Facebook page or...
we'll even link the video too.
Yeah, we'll link the video too as well.
Get some more viral hits.
I just peaked that at 1.8.
Mary Alice, you got to check her out. She's a really cool girl.
Nice.
I guess is it time for our shameless promotion?
It is.
Okay.
It is. It's that same time we have every podcast
Right.
episode.
So if you want to hear more podcasts like this, you can find us on marketingessentialsteam.com, which is our website. There's a podcast page there with all of our previously published podcasts.
That is correct.
And you also have an opportunity when you go there to subscribe to the podcast. And if you subscribe to the podcast...
What do you get?
Well, I'm going to tell you what you get. You get an email every week to let you know that a new episode has been published. And you also...
But wait, there's more.
You also get access to bonus content. Some of our podcasts have bonus content, little help guides or little checklists that expand on the content in that particular episode. And if you subscribe, you'll get access to the page where all of those live. So you can download them and help your business.
Mm-hmm. And we also have on Facebook, we have the Little Rhody Marketing Group for marketing professionals that just want a sounding board to be able to support each other.
Right.
Business owners,
Right.
marketing groups, pretty much allow just about everybody in there that has a business or deals with business in some way. It is solely towards marketing challenges, but
Right.
it is a private group, so if you do want to join it, you do have to ask to be accepted. We have a couple of quick questions you have to get by to get in, and
Yeah, but they're pretty easy. So,
yeah, they're pretty easy. And then Alicia, our gatekeeper, lets them in afterwards, right?
Right. So
She's like, sure.
the group currently has over 120 members in it.
Correct.
A lot of small business owners, a lot of marketing professionals, but it's a great place to come and ask a question or just learn more about how to better and more effectively market your business.
Mhm. And if you want to find out a little bit more about what we're doing, we also have the Marketing Essentials Team Facebook page. You can also
That's right.
join us there. So I think that's all of our shameless plugs for today.
Yeah, I think we're good for now. So you want to take us out?
Until next time, thank you for listening.